Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel. In today's video you guys are going to get to see a tour of my new and improved tiger salamander or bioactive tiger salamander enclosure. It is a 24 by 18 by 18 Exoterra. It is brand new. Our previous enclosure was a 24 by 18 by 12 and I will keep the video up on the channel if you want to see it. I'll include it right here. But I decided to upgrade her because I wanted her to have more space for dirt. So I just wanted to have a deeper dirt section because tiger salamanders are burrowers, they're mole salamanders, and they just love to be in the dirt. And of course I want to provide as much dirt as I could for her, so that's what I did. And without further ado, let's go ahead and introduce you to my tiger salamander Neville and her new enclosure. Hello everyone and welcome to Neville's enclosure tour. Neville is my tiger salamander and she recently got an upgrade as well as like a few changes to the type of enclosure that she was in, and I'm really happy to share them with you. So Neville was previously in a 24 by 18 by 12 Exoterra and she is currently in a 24 by 18 by 18 Exoterra. The reason that I upgraded the enclosure to a taller one is because I wanted to have a deeper substrate area. So in a 24 by 18 by 12 you get roughly like 4 to 6 inches of substrate, depending on like how you level it out in the back, like make it higher and stuff like that. But with this one you get 6 to 8 or maybe even 9 inches of substrate, which is much better. And considering the fact that they burrow up to 4 feet in the wild where they live in North America, yeah, it's better to give them as much substrate as you possibly can. So I was really happy to give her more substrate. So she had substrate from her old enclosure and then I also added some new substrate. So she currently has organic topsoil and eco earth mix. There's also a bit of terra firma from the bio dude in here, but I sifted out the chunks, so really it's just like soil. There's nothing really in it that's different. Most of it is eco earth and organic topsoil. Now, another reason I upgraded Neville is because I wanted to do a DIY background, which is what you see here on all 3 sides. So she doesn't climb, so she won't like use the texture of this as something to engage with, but visually I think it's much more eye appealing than the flat background I was using before. So I created this background by using expanding foam, and I might have a picture I'll include here on the screen of like what it looked like before it had the eco earth on it. But basically it's cork bark and expanding foam, and I would just lay the enclosure on one side, place the cork, and then I would spray foam and that'll hold it in place. And then when that was dry I'd flip it to the other side and do that, and then I'd flip it to the other side and do that. So it created a nice 3-sided enclosure, which I like because like if you just do a background that's fine and that's great, but like 1, I wanted to incorporate the stream area, and 2, I like having all sides because then it looks like an enclosed like biome. It just looks really cool when you have all 3 sides done. So that's what I've been doing with all my bioactives, is making them 3-sided. Obviously I can't do the front because that's where the doors are, but that's cool anyway. It's just to have 3 sides is really great. I love it. I just like love the look of it. After the expanding foam is dry, you take some sort of sharp object. I use a razor blade. Please be careful if you do this. But then I, carved out all the sections so that it was like even with the cork, and then I covered that in black silicone. I think black works better than clear, so that's just my recommendation. And then I pressed eco earth into it. Now, it's kind of challenging to do this without missing a spot, and you probably will, so give yourself time to cover everything, let it dry, vacuum so it will like take up any debris that's left behind, and trust me, there's a lot. And then you'll see some like naked spots that you'll have to cover with silicone and eco earth again. And then once you do that, you should be fine, and there shouldn't be any more exposed areas that might, take away from the look of your enclosure. Another thing that I did when I was using the expanding foam is the stream area. So as you can see, there's like a rigid line here, and there's like a bump, and it comes down like this, and then there's some cork over here. Down here, which we'll get to in a minute, is actually a like reservoir of water. It's a little stream area, a pond, and it's basically a giant like plastic container or like a Tupperware container that I placed in the background when it was drying. So like I had propped styrofoam underneath of it to make it level with the front here, because it's shorter. It's not as like long as the whole bottom of the enclosure, and I also wanted Neville to be able to go underneath of it because when she brumates, she likes to go underneath of her water section because it's, I think, probably colder and darker. So then I just made sure that there was still a few inches of substrate that was underneath there she could go burrow under if she wanted to. And then I raised it up with some styrofoam while it was curing with the expanding foam. And then once it was in there, it was in there. And then I just, you know, built everything around it with the expanding foam and the silicone and the Eco Earth. But it sounds like a really involved process, and it does take time, but a lot of it is just like waiting for silicone to cure, waiting for the expanding foam to dry, waiting for your materials to arrive. Once you have everything and you start the project, it could take anywhere from like a couple days to a week, which, I mean, maybe a lot, but like it's not a lot if you've been working on enclosures. You know how long some of them can take. This one didn't take that long, and it wasn't that in depth of a process, or, you know, super stressful like some of them can be. So the reason I wanted to have a deep and also like embedded stream area is because tiger salamanders like to be near water, and Neville regularly goes in water. I mean, when she's not brumating, she's in water like every night before she comes out to eat food. And I'll actually include a clip right here of Neville in her stream area one of the first nights that I gave her the new enclosure. You coming out, Neville? Here it comes. Da-dun, da-dun. I am the legendary swamp monster, coming out of my little jacuzzi. For some noms, please. Can you please grab those waxworms from the other room? Here it comes. Look at that claw. Here she comes. Nice and slow. Dun dun. Dun dun. Dun dun. I am the oh no, she fell. Well, that happens sometimes. I'll go get you waxworms. Oh, try again. Oh, did you get it? Yep, you got it. Good girl. Good girl. Yes, you are. You're a good girl. Here you go. There's another. What a good girl. Want another? Oh, almost. Ah! You almost got it. Oh no, I dropped it. That's my bad. Here, hold on 1 second. Here you go. Come on now. You got it, Neville. Thank you. Alright, where's the next one? I put 4 in this bucket. There we are. Give me a second. Oh, you still got that one, Neville. Almost. There you go. That one disappeared. Alright, nice and yummy. So a couple things to mention again from afar, aside from just like the background and the substrate. This is a Marble Queen Pothos, and it is in a cork round. So this substrate will not sustain live plants. It will not. And because tiger salamanders burrow, they will uproot any of your plants. So I recommend planting them in something else and placing them in the enclosure, or planting them in the background with like a planter pot or a cup that you pop the bottom out of, something like that. But this is basically a cork round. There's no bottom on it, so it allows for drainage. In fact, when I was moving this from her old enclosure to this one, the roots had already came out of the bottom, so it's definitely done some growing and some latching on to the cork. It was really awesome to see. But it's just a Marble Queen Pothos, and as you can see, it's sprouting new little ones every day. It's doing great, and she has not killed this plant, so this is the only one I can recommend so far. She also has a cork hide right here. I mean, they pretty much hide under the substrate, but she's actually hiding in here right now, so it's good to have a ground hide, plus it's something more for her to interact with and to just help the look of the enclosure. So now that I've given you an overview, even though it took 7 minutes to do so, we're gonna go take a deeper look over here and then move her away to the left. So this is Neville's stream area, and as you can see, it is a water-filled pit with large like river stones, and there's also a filter, which is why you see movement of the water back here. It is a ZoomMed internal or underwater submersible, whatever, turtle filter, although I would literally never recommend it for turtles because it is so small. I use this in all of my stream areas because it is compact, it is small, easy to clean, and the great thing about the filter is it's not going to create too much of an like a flow of water, and also it has like a little nozzle that you can like twist left or twist right, and that will reduce or increase the flow of the water. I use this filter and this like type of stream method or stream design in my chubby frog enclosure, my tomato frog enclosure, my red-eyed crocodile skink enclosure, and my tiger salamander enclosure. I absolutely love it. The only thing I've done differently this time is that I built this expanding foam barrier around the entirety of the stream, especially on the side, because Neville is a messy tiger salamander and has the tendency to dump eco-earth or dump soil in general into the stream area, and so I wanted to try and create like a wall to prevent that. And also I wanted it to look more natural instead of just being like a bucket placed in the substrate or a bucket placed inside the enclosure, you know what I mean? So I just thought I'll go ahead and build expanding foam around it and then cover it in silicone and eco-earth and then blend it into the soil so it kind of just looks like it belongs. Now this one is shorter because Neville has a tendency to come in and out from this side. That's what she prefers. Now beside her stream area she has her substrate, which is again organic topsoil and eco-earth, and then she also has some leaf litter strewn about. She also has bioactive substrate. Now you might have a problem with getting springtails to live in your tiger salamander bioactive because the soil isn't like sopping wet, or it's not really moist until like the very bottom. So there's not going to be as many springtails because they're more, you know, prone to thriving in really moist conditions. Whereas if you have really moist conditions, it's not really great for tiger salamanders because they can get skin infections. Now you want moist substrate, but like it genuinely should not be anything you can like squeeze water out of. Like it should not be that wet. Now again, this Marble Queen Pothos is planted in a cork planter, so it's literally a cork round that I filled with Josh's Frog's ABG mix and some organic topsoil on the top. And the reason I have used that type of soil in the cork round is because, like I said earlier, organic topsoil and eco-earth will not sustain plant growth, so that's why you have to use a different type of substrate. And because I wanted Neville to not be able to get into it, I like crammed it down in there, and I chose a round that was kind of on the smaller side, and she hasn't gone in it, thankfully. But my chubby frog and my tomato frog have both gone into their planters that are planted in the background. So if you're interested in knowing about them, I'll talk about their enclosures in a separate video, or actually I already have, but I think I'm gonna go and give another tour just because why not? But yeah, you'll know exactly what I mean when I show you footage in theirs, but they just like to cram themselves down in there. So if you have a tiger salamander or an amphibian that does that, then a cork round might not be the best option for you. But the really great thing is, like, when it starts to root, it'll root in this substrate, but you know, you can't rely on that because your tiger salamander will uproot it. So just make sure that you have that in mind, and you still allow your plant's like main root system to have something that it can really hold on to and get nutrients from. Last but not least, we have Neville's cork hide, and Neville's actually in here right now. Her tail's in there. You probably can't see it because the lighting's just not great, like inside her cave obviously because it's supposed to be dark, but it's just a cork. It is open in the back and the front, but I have buried it in substrate so you can't really tell that it's open. It arches up in the back here and kind of connects to the background. Like, I didn't build it into the background. I can remove this, but it just, like, the way it flows, it hit the background really nice. And when you put dirt on top of it, it makes it even darker and also makes it blend in with the enclosure more, so that's why I did that. To show you the depth of this enclosure, here's the top and all the way down here is the bottom. So it's a nice amount of substrate, and then the rest of it is just, you know, the background. So that's that. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, leave a like. Let me know in those comments down below. Also, don't forget to hit the notification bell and subscribe button if that's something you're interested in. I will be posting another enclosure build, which will be for my red-eyed crocodile skink Fugaku. That should be coming in a few days. And after that, I will have 2 more builds for my African fat-tailed geckos who got upgrades because I had old Exoterras from the 2 upgrades I just did for Neville and Fugaku. So if you are interested in those things, just be sure to hit that subscribe button so that, you know, you'll be here when I post them. Okay, great. With that said, I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye!